here we are, part 2 of our, I think, going to be flagship series on Game Theory, reviewing the reviewer, right?
Definitely.
And we have the reviewer everyone wants to hear about, Jonathan Ellsworth. How are you doing today?
First of all, I'm not sure this is true, and this was definitely not my idea to go next in our series. I thought we were going to do the Sam was up next, and Sam protested enough that it's my turn apparently. But I'm doing okay. This is, we are going to be dropping our bigger than ever buyer's guide very shortly here. And mostly what this means is that Luke and I, things have been intense. And so in past years, it would probably be accurate to say that like we would both be on death's door right now. I would not describe that as it's better than being on death's door. Luke, however, did actually literally just like 5 minutes ago say that he thought he was dying. So I'm not sure.
I don't think it's correlated.
If there's any doctors out there, Luke might have a
I
health
can hear
condition.
my heartbeat in my ear. I don't know if that's good or bad. Probably not good.
Yeah. So, no, it's always an intense project and an intense time of year. I think Luke calls this Blister's Hell Week or Hell Month or whatever, but but it's good and we like how this one's coming together. So so it's all good.
Well, that's good to hear. I'm glad at least that I'm not dying. I feel
We
fine.
know. Right. We're aware.
Yeah.
Sam's just doing great.
Anyway, should we start asking some questions?
I guess we should.
Do you want to start off with a random review?
Great question.
I have something for you to live review if you want to.
To live review?
Yeah.
Oh, this is exciting.
Yeah. It's a piece of cheese.
Oh, you were telling me about this.
Oh, is this one of those Baby
Bell.
Oh, yeah. Very, very curious to hear. The most fun part about this cheese for me is the interactive.
Yeah,
the experience of eating
that's
it.
really the only thing that makes it stand out.
Is this what you were just? Did you talk about?
So
this
my
on your
issue is people,
think
or
it's-
some of my friends think cheese curds are weird, and as someone who's from Wisconsin, I do not think they're weird, and they're delicious. But those same people eat Baby Bell cheese, which is essentially a cheese curd that's packed into some fancy wax packaging, and they just have this very posh attitude towards cheese curds, which are even better than that. And I just wanted to... I've spoken about that publicly before. I feel very strongly about
Luke's
cheese.
going on the record about cheese curds.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say it's fine.
Yep.
Yeah, it's totally fine. This week we've been living primarily on like highball energy and coffee. So really any form of like solid food it's to be honest, it's pretty great.
Yeah.
So
So my favorite thing about these cheeses is that one, because of the wax, they're super portable. Like you can take them places and they're like individually wrapped. And then it's a pretty mild cheese, so you can just down them. You can eat so many of those things.
Yeah.
The downside is they're like really expensive.
Yeah.
Oh really?
Very,
Yeah.
Like what's that cost?
in CB, I think like $6 or $7. I want to say not for one of those.
for like a
For
big
like
bag of them.
10 of them, I think. It's not that bad, but you can definitely find cheaper cheese. Yeah.
But yeah, that's fine. Would I ever buy it personally? No.
Do you ever buy cheese?
Sometimes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. To go on the veggie burgers.
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna get to vegetables.
Oh, we're gonna get okay.
What score does he get for that review?
Score for random review. I give him a 3 because I like
3?
that cheese and he was like lukewarm on it.
I'll give him we'll average it out to a 4.
You were gonna give him a 5?
4 or 5.
Okay, that's cool. That's cool. I can live with that. Okay, rapid fire background section. Where did you grow up?
So I usually abbreviate this story because it's gets complicated. So, but in the interest of it'll be more boring but a little more accurate. So I was actually born in California, but this is one of those things where my family moved when I was like 6 months old. So technically they could totally be lying to me, right? I have no evidence that I was actually born in California.
you have a
Where's your
birth
birth certificate?
Well, that's but like whatever.
So-
I mean, we could
So there's
doctor,
evidence.
we could doctor these documents, right? And suddenly you were born in Taiwan, and
No one would believe
then
that.
you just tell people. It would explain a lot to me actually if you were, but so went sort of California to Ohio to Illinois, and so Chicago is kind of where I was, and that's that answer. But
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, as a kid, what things were you most passionate about?
You know, as a kid, I was quite young and was given a paper route because I think they had clearly no better options. So I think I was like a second grader or third grader with a paper route. Point is, that means I was rich, right? And so I spent 100% of my money on G.I. Joe figures. 100%. So I was like,
Financially responsible and
yeah,
rich.
yeah,
Nice.
yeah. No savings, and 100% of the income went to GI Joe. So it was GI Joe, basketball, and soccer were the kind of early loves, and then basketball has been a lifelong thing. 8th grade, I shifted from soccer to football, and but those were really, that gives you a handle on.
I guess we got the what was your first job question out of the way. It started very early.
Well, that was the first like most official job. I remember I used to get, I think, like my parents would give me maybe a quarter for raking a big bag of leaves. So that was also a thing, but the paper route was like an official.
Chores are not.
That's a
jobs.
chore.
Yeah.
Chores are
Yeah.
not jobs.
But
yeah.
do you get paid for chores?
I didn't.
Well, some chores,
Okay.
like I was expected to do some things, but like mowing the lawn, for instance, I got paid some money for.
Yeah,
mowing the
actually,
lawn.
that's how we were too.
Okay.
Okay, where'd you go to school? What did you study? Why?
Well, for college, I did my undergrad work at a place called Wheaton College. That's a very long story. Basically went there to play football. Again, long story. We'll skip all that. Was a philosophy and literature double major. Had a injury and a football career. And so basically I was not into like the life of the mind going into college like whatsoever.
Okay.
And but basically was a kid all of a sudden who wasn't allowed to play college football, also was then told was not allowed to play college basketball. And so kind of life as I knew it was over. And literally it felt like that what was my identity was just gone. And I had a friend who, Matt Halteman, still a great friend of mine. He was like the smart football player, and he was like, dude, you should maybe take like a philosophy course. And I had no idea what philosophy even was. And so I'd actually already started kind of doing some of the English stuff. I was a decent writer. And but the study of philosophy became more and more interesting and important to me. And so ended up doing my undergrad in that, and then ended up going straight into a graduate program at the University of Chicago for philosophy. And so it's a very funny way to spend your 20s. Mm-hmm. Like ended up doing 5 years of undergrad work, and then went straight to University of Chicago and did 5 years of basically PhD work. And so in hindsight, I was like, pretty much that was like being in a monastery. But I don't regret that at all either.
When did you start skiing?
The first time I think I ever skied was I went one time, my junior year of high school. And I was definitely skiing in jeans. And I remember we just got off the chairlift and no one had said anything about what to do or how, like,
Get to the bottom.
And so we were standing on top of like a mogul run and, you know, literally had zero instruction, advice, guidance. And so I fully remember my first ski run ever because I literally just started straight lining. I didn't realize you were supposed to turn around the moguls. So I just picked a line. And then by like the fourth mogul, I was going so fast and was like trying to kind of suck this up. I just absolutely launched, like sent it, launched, full yard sail. And I was like, so I guess this is skiing.
Skiing's weird.
I don't remember anything about the rest of the day, which actually, come to think of it, which I never have before right now, is probably concussed.
Yeah.
But that was my first time skiing. It was somewhere, I think, in like Wisconsin or Michigan or I don't know. And then I went one time again, I think my senior year of high school. And then in college, I remember vividly, met some good friends freshman year, and it was Martin Luther King Jr. weekend. And we're in Chicago, and they're like, what do you guys want to do? It's a 3-day weekend. And one of my friends was like, well, my parents have a place in Dillon, Colorado. And like 40 minutes later, 5 pretty big dudes like got into this small car and just drove through the night to Dillon. And that was literally like my third time skiing ever. We did like 4 or 5 days out in Colorado. And so, yeah, so not a whole lot of skiing early on. In grad school, I skied almost not at all. And then it was really when I moved to New Mexico in 2002, that's when I really started like skiing a lot. And that went to like pretty quickly to like 100 days a year type of stuff. And yeah, super fell in love with it. So yeah, but yeah, like this was not it. Unlike pretty much everybody at Blister who's like, oh, I started skiing when I was 2, like definitely not my story.
Yeah. So when did you start running and trail running?
Trail running pretty late. And I mean, I've talked about this like on our Off the Couch podcast. Like, I used to just make fun of runners, right? Like running is stupid.
I
like,
still do that.
Yeah. And, you know, I was a sprinter in high school and only did that for football. But, so trail running within the last, you know, say 5 years, like a little bit, but the real, and I apologize. I did tell this portion of the story in, I think, our first episode of Off the Couch, where Brendan Leonard and I talk about our kind of respective backgrounds. But it was after I broke my neck and literally was not allowed to do anything, any type of exercise. And the first thing the surgeon would let me do post operation was walk. And then that eventually turned into like running, but definitely not on rocky, rooty, off-camber surfaces. But that really was the first time in my life where running became like freeing, and it was a freedom thing rather than like some punishment thing that you have to do at the end of practice. And so that's when I really like developed a new appreciation of running. And I mean, now it's wild. Like literally we get to walk out our door and start trail running on gorgeous trails.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it's pretty great. And I think maybe in particular for somebody who like me, who that was never my thing, it's like, this is a pretty great spot to, you know, to fall in love with trail running, I'd say. So
What about mountain biking?
Mountain biking, I'd say, honestly, the first time I was ever on a mountain bike, like on an actual trail, probably was early after my move to New Mexico, 2002.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
Okay. So then what are your current favorite sports or activities? I think we do a top 3, or like you have to pick 3 to start with.
And are we talking spectator or are we talking participation?
All you asked was favorite sports and activities for me, so
Okay.
I'm giving you the same treatment.
Okay.
I mean, your favorite activity could be watching football.
Yeah.
Or like eating chips,
Yeah.
for example.
Or sleeping.
That's definitely not
Yeah.
his favorite activity.
I like sleep. It's the thing I like far more than I do sometimes, but it's getting better for the most part. Skiing is still number 1. I think I'd probably go on the mountain sports we just talked about. I would go skiing 1, mountain biking 2, trail running 3. Weirdly, part going back to like the football thing, I started lifting when I was pretty young, like 12, 13 years old. And it's funny, like these days, I mean, I'm definitely obviously not lifting to get huge or anything like that, but there is some kind of continuity thing that I still really appreciate about getting alone, like in a weight room by yourself. And we actually have a phenomenal weight room here at Elevation. And often I'll try to go in there, like sneak in pretty like
Right
just
when they're
before-
trying to close.
you kind of, and it's like I'm the only one in there, and there is definitely kind of a therapeutic / meditative element to that. And I know that sounds super weird, but
No, I could see it. You should try fishing sometime.
yeah, maybe.
All right.
I would pay money to see that. I
Yeah.
think.
I feel like the rod would be broken within a few minutes. What do you want to rank him for that?
I thought that was
section.
actually fantastic.
Your whole background?
Yeah.
Well, he's lived a lot longer life than we have.
Right?
So
Yeah, it's not fair.
I agree.
Right.
I agree. Just because he has a lot of background, I don't think that means he gets a good
It's
score.
not
automatically.
quantity, it's quality.
Exactly. So I definitely am going to knock him for not skiing until he was a junior in high school. That seems just egregious.
Yeah.
mean-
Everything else was pretty good, I think. I would give him a 7.
I was going to give him a 4.
Okay. Let's go with
Sam's revenge. Yeah.
well, you still haven't been reviewed yet, so
Let's go with 7. Yeah.
all right, 7. All right, cool.
Oh,
All right.
man.
Next question. If you can keep this brief, how and why did you start Blister?
Yeah. So that very much ties into the fact, I don't think this is a knock against me. I mean, I was in Chicago, so no, I wasn't skiing. But,
Just to interject, though, my dad grew up in Chicago, and he started skiing when he was like 8. So
See,
My
but-
dad skis better than your dad.
My
Yeah.
dad does
I
ski
guarantee
better.
your dad skis better than my dad. But yeah, like really nobody in, and maybe I don't know, blame the circle or blame the football circle or something, but literally my friend Steve Buss was the one kid I can think of, and we're still like great friends today, but Steve would be the weird guy that would go out to like Utah once a year and like go on ski trips. He's the only person I knew. And so it just wasn't in the water. And
Well, I mean, like, jokes aside, too, skiing is, like, it's an expensive sport. It
Yeah.
takes a ton of time. It's really specific. Like, to get into it is difficult. The only reason I got into skiing is because of my parents. If they weren't into it, I wouldn't have been
like,
into it.
dude, I didn't think I knew it was a thing. Like,
Yeah.
I had seen, like, Olympic, downhill races. I didn't know this was, like, that free skiing was a thing you could do. I mean, it just wasn't, it wasn't
Even a reality
No.
to you?
No.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't like, oh, yeah, that skiing thing. Nah, I'm not going to do that. It just like, dude, it was not on the radar. And the funny thing is I actually think this is a really important part of the story when it comes to like, so why did you start Blister? Like, we talked about eventually after, actually I was still finishing up grad school. I went out to New Mexico for what was supposed to be a summer, and I could have gone anywhere in the world I wanted just to write. I just needed to write, and that was my first time really in the mountains. And the minute I got there, it was like, what in the world? And I think it was mountain biking first, but then kind of mountain biking and climbing, and then I ended up deferring my graduate work. And I was actually teaching philosophy at the time back in Chicago, and I kind of informed everybody, like, I'm not coming back. So I actually think I get extra points for that.
That's a badass move.
Yeah. No, it's like a true move. Like, I was like, yeah, no, I'll catch you guys later.
Well, you didn't mention it, so that score doesn't count.
All
For
Well,
the
I mean,
one
we
just
do have the
scored.
power to give him bonus points, but I'm
I
not
think
sure
that's
that
a-
Or
Yeah.
take away points.
So
we'll consider that at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically I was like, I was new to all this stuff, like a decent athlete. And suddenly it was like, man, I'm certain the right skis or ski boots would kind of help me out. Like, and I was honestly just kind of shocked at how poor the quality of the information was that you could find about all this product. And so, I kind of like, some people still do. I would like excitedly like, oh, this new buyer's guide just came out from so-and-so in Glossy magazine, and awesome. Like, I couldn't get enough, learning more about like different equipment and the like, but then was just like, wow, this is all super, super underwhelming and dumb. And at that point I didn't immediately jump to start Blister. I started asking just some of my friends, and who had started at, these are now people who did start skiing when they were, 4 or 5 years old or whatever. And it was like, yeah, dude, like, why can't you find any good product information about this stuff? And they were just like, oh yeah, I don't know, like, just kind of how it is. And really, I remember, eventually, like, well, fast forward, I remember finally hearing about how so much of the outdoor sports review world worked, which was, in short, that it was a lot of it just pay to play. And I remember still just being vividly like scandalized about that, because, my best friends now were skiers and mountain bikers. And this is the thing, this was the glue, these sports, was the glue in these friendships. And I just was like, I can't believe that the media companies, in whether it was bike or ski, basically are just operating on some pay-to-play thing that effectively translates to like lying to the community. And honestly, I could not believe this is the way it worked. And I kept asking around, and the more people I talked to was like, oh yeah, no, I mean, but we know. And so here's, I think, the key point. A lot of my friends and the people in my circles knew that the world worked that way, but I think that it was a bit like, this is just the world they had grown up in. Whereas I had no part of this world, right? Wasn't coming from it, right? As a football and basketball player and then a philosophy professor. And I just was like, this is so discordant and messed up, that was the time when I finally was like, okay, we're going to start Blister just as a total experiment. And like, what happens if we just totally commit to telling the truth about all of this really expensive product as best as we can, to the best of our ability, trying to be as accurate as possible. And while there might be some grounds for reasonable disagreement among skiers or mountain bikers or whatever, 100%, it's just like, we're just going to do our best to tell the truth and give you accurate information about this stuff. And it was like, what happens if we do that? Oh, and then a big number two, I was like, and we're not going to take any money from the gear manufacturers we review. So there's that, right?
Just setting yourself up on the easy road.
Right. Yeah. So that was the other, I think, huge thing. So it was, on the one hand, we're going to try to write in depth and as accurately as we possibly can, to just put out really good, clear consumer product information. And then two, we're not going to have revenue streams that undermine the integrity of this work. And as Luke and I were up last night around midnight or something, actually looking at one of the other new buyer's guides that
current
buyer's guides that just came out, I was like, my God,
it's the same thing.
It is unbelievable. It is unbelievable. And, so anyway, that was kind of how Blister got started.
Well, I think it's probably difficult not to give you a 10 on that.
Yeah, I think so.
We might be biased as we write our paychecks.
Okay, next one. Who's your favorite reviewer at Blister?
There are right and wrong answers to some of these questions, by the way.
Yeah, I'm just gonna write no under the score.
I mean, it's a great question. I mean, Luke, I think you said Paul Forward.
No, I said Noah.
I'm sorry, you said Noah.
Yeah.
And Noah, there's a lot of good. That was a great answer. I was a little offended that. I mean, honestly, I should probably be your favorite reviewer. You do the least amount of work
for your reviews.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they often require like a week to put together. And Noah I never monitor him, and he just sends me this full review that's 100% done basically, and I just get to move it into the website and post it.
What do you mean mine take a week?
Where you're like, wait, look at this. Does this seem weird? Does this seem weird? And Noah's just like, here you go. It's ready.
I see. Okay. So yeah, we're both pretty big Noah fans. I gotta say, props to David Golay.
Mm-hmm.
David is working with us on the bike side, and David's making a pretty strong, quick impression. Paul Forward, who I mentioned, I mean, Paul's reviews are fun.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always kind of intrigued to see where Paul's
like,
gonna go.
Where did he ski the ski in 40 centimeters of snow this time?
Yeah. So I don't know. I think all our reviewers are probably feel a little bit like they're like brothers or sisters, and so you have the like love-hate.
Well, you literally made me rank my own siblings last time, so deal with it.
No pity here. No pity.
Yeah. So we'll give a shout out to Paul.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm good with that.
I'm good with that. 8.
Sure.
That's how much I like Paul.
Right, that wasn't me, Paul. That was Sam. Here's one that's, well, we'll see how you do. What's the most interesting thing that's ever happened to you?
I think I have a couple candidates here. I mean, going off of a cliff, tomahawking down a mountain, breaking my neck.
We're gonna get to that later. You can't.
Okay, that doesn't
that
count.
That's a cop out.
Then
if there's more than 2 podcasts about it on Blister already,
yeah.
I mean, starting Blister.
Already covered it.
This has probably been interesting. So, I have been charged by a bear.
Okay.
I was in Whistler. I don't remember 2000. Maybe 2004-ish, 2005, and was riding the bike park there and was done riding for the day and went off for like a hike by myself and just was like cruising around and was walking back into the village and got on some long footbridge thing and got about halfway on, and this big bear turned onto the bridge,
the enclosed bridge, or like,
yeah,
there wasn't
like
ways to get
behind
off.
you or in front of you?
In front.
Oh, jeez.
So I'm like halfway on, and this bear turns on with her cub.
Oh, jeez.
And so that was interesting. And I mean, this is again 2004, 2005 or whatever. And so I actually had like a tiny little pocket camera. You know,
like a disposable camera?
Not a disposable, but just like a little, I don't know, Canon sure
point and
shot.
shoot.
I don't know what they're called. But and so
you're like, oh, this would make a great picture.
Yeah. No, and so I was like, well, this is interesting. And so I kind of just was like looking down and started like backing up, like slowly, because I'm on a bridge. There's not a whole lot of places to go over, like a river.
Mm-hmm.
And So I backed up, and this bear was not like charging or anything. I backed up and like stepped off to the side, like kind of there's a dirt embankment that kind of rolls down to the river. And I was just like, I'm just giving this bear the right of way. I wasn't going to turn and run or anything like that. And so I, just was backing up, but stayed facing this thing. And she and her cub were kind of walking on the far side of the bridge, but like we're close now. And then all of a sudden, the bear stops, squares me up, and is like facing me and starts doing some weird bear grunting, hopping thing.
Yeah.
Like kind of sounded like an ape.
Yeah.
And again, ex-football player.
Like, I could take him.
Yeah, well, I was a wide receiver. So I'm like, I'm about to get charged by a bear. My job is just to make this thing miss. I don't know. I don't have some other instinct here. And so I had this like camera clunking around. So I like took it out of my pocket, mostly just so, and like the bear started to charge and I broke down in a stance, like you would, just ready to go. Like I'm going left or going right. I don't know which way, but like make this thing miss at least the first time. So the bear starts charging. I break down into this stance, ready to go left or right. She keeps coming, stops on a dime, like about where you are, Luke, and then just stops, and I'm still ready to like go left, right. And then she just turns and like sprints off. And the best part of this story, when I broke down into like a football stance, I accidentally hit the button on the camera, and I have a picture of it. Boom.
All right.
Yeah.
That's
my
pretty
long
good.
story, but
That's pretty good.
yeah.
Okay. It would have been better if he had actually gotten mauled, though. That'd be more interesting, right?
Well, we'll get to that stuff later. I'll give that, since it
Charged by a bear?
false charged you.
That's true. That's true.
I think that's an
true.
8 again.
I would have given him a 7, but
7.5.
7.5. Perfect.
All right. Who's your favorite skier?
I should have thought about some of these questions in advance. The first name that comes to mind is Eric Hjorlifson. And I think part of that is because I've talked about this, but some of Hoji's pillow segments are still absolutely just incredible to me. And then I've had the chance to have some very long conversations with Eric, and those have been really fun and interesting, and I've learned a lot there. So Eric is a pretty safe answer. Pep, who I just talked to a week or two ago, some of Pep's Japan stuff actually was some of those segments are just seared in my memory too, and I think were some of the first things that, as again, I was just trying to learn more and see more about this ski world. Pep skiing Japan looked like just about the most fun thing you could imagine, and so those are a couple.
But you have to pick one. The question says.
Well, the third candidate is, of course, Angel Collinson. One, because she's awesome, and two, she's a philosophy major.
Really?
Yeah. And so I've always said, like any skier you want to jockey into this position to be my favorite skier, like being a philosophy major, that goes a long way. So those are my top three, and it's Angel and Eric. I'd have to give it's a tie. If Eric had studied philosophy,
I give him 0 points.
Yeah, he didn't answer the question. All right. We had talked about the interesting things that have happened to you. What's the most interesting thing that you've done? Like under your own power, I guess, is this question.
I don't know. I mean,
you used up all your interesting stories too early.
Yeah, I probably did.
Yeah, there's big mistake.
I mean, year 2, year 2 of the buyer's guide, I pretty much built that myself.
Which cover was that? Is it you
That was
jumping
the
over
base
Psy?
The Liberties.
Maybe.
Steve bases.
Okay.
I think that was the year. I remember vividly thinking, like, I'm just going to be found dead, like, weeks later with flies buzzing around. I don't know, possibly that. Things that I've done myself. I mean, I've co-authored or co-edited, I should say. A couple of books. So there's
philosophy books.
Philosophy, yeah.
Okay.
So one of them was called Thoreau's Importance for Philosophy.
Mm-hmm. I think you made me read that when I got
made you read
brought
that?
on, or at least some of it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, me too, definitely.
Sam, I'm pretty sure I didn't make you read that. I was like, he won't get it. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think that if there was probably been this kind of funny thing about, like, I think there's this ski publishing thing, and then also like this academic philosophy publishing thing is maybe a little bit surprising to some folks. But so maybe I'd say I don't know of a lot of other like published academics. I could probably take most of them like
On the mountain.
in steep techie terrain.
Okay.
Something like that. So that's where I think it'd have to be like a combo answer.
Yeah.
Also, I'm a published academic, so
Hey, so am I actually.
What did you guys publish?
We did a study on the physiological impact of wearing different types of garments while doing exercise, with the goal being to develop a new personal protective equipment uniform for like doctors, especially those in Africa who are doing like Ebola research, because it's super hot there and they would get really sweaty and pass out in more traditional garments, but they still have to be protected from the other stuff. So that's what we did.
it's pretty cool.
Yeah, what'd you
I
do?
once presented a paper at a philosophy conference called Apophasis and Ascesis, Contemporary Philosophy and Mystical Theology.
Sounds complicated.
Yeah, I don't know what a lot of those words mean.
Yeah. What was your...
I published my master's thesis on developing energy harvesting cardiac pacemaker without a battery or a lead, to eliminate the need to like replace pacemakers. So we designed a pacemaker that harvests the energy of the body, the bloodstream, like the flow of your blood, powers the pacemaker.
I'm hearing we save lives. You talked about Latin words.
Intellectual
and things.
answer. Those are Greek words.
Whatever. Okay. Well, I don't know. I thought the answer was fine.
Are we gonna give him an 8 for that?
I was thinking 5.
Okay, yeah, 5's better. Let's go with 5.
The stupidest thing you've ever done, apart from maybe start Blister.
Yeah. Blister's definitely the best and worst thing I've ever done.
Uh-huh.
I've done a lot of stupid things. But like, all right, I'm trying to earn a 10 off this.
Okay.
This is 100% true.
I was
But-
gonna give you 10 on this answer no matter what.
I remember as a kid, like my family did not like have a lot of money or anything, and so one year for Christmas, I got new carpet. This was maybe not like super fine carpet. This is like plastic chemical carpet, kind of whatever. But it was whatever. It was
New
fine.
carpet.
And I got like some kind of electric keyboard. And my parents are actually good musicians. I'm definitely not. And I think at this point they were still maybe holding out hope that I'd learn how to play the piano and stuff. I'd plugged, I think, this keyboard. This is Christmas evening. I'd plugged this keyboard in and for some reason was trying to move it around. And it was real like stuck in the electric socket. And I'm like, man, I cannot get this thing out. So I was like, I need to pry this plug out. And I was
How
like,
old were you?
fortunately, I don't know. Like, let's say
Electrocuted the memories out of you.
yeah. Oh, what I'm about to say is maybe this took the memory right out of me, but I was like, let's say 5 or 6.
Okay.
And I was like, man, this I don't know what's up with this plug. I can't get this out. Fortunately, I had throwing stars. Like, like ninja throwing stars.
You were 5.
Huh?
You were 5?
5 or 6. My parents were very loose on that kind of stuff. Like I definitely I had knives and like throwing stars. Yeah. And I, my friends used to get in trouble actually. Like I remember one day we were just lighting
Stuff
paper
on
and
fire.
leaves on fire outside of the house. And my parents didn't care, but my friends, Chris Johnson across the street, his parents were livid. Like Chris was not allowed to come hang out for a while.
Wait till you see what I can do with this socket.
Yeah. So, I needed to move this keyboard, and so yeah, I used the throwing star, the metal throwing star, jammed that into the electric socket to pry out the keyboard plug, shocked the ever-living hell out of myself, and then set the entire room on fire. And again, the carpet I don't think was like your organic 100% wool. It was like chemically coated carpet. So there's, this electrical fire, the whole cord to the keyboard goes up. Everything is on fire. The carpet now is all catching fire. I'm a little oh crap. So I run to the bathroom around the corner and fill up a Dixie cup with water.
Don't worry, Mom, I got it.
And, yeah, I got it. And then throw that. And as the story goes, basically, this whole, I'm going to die from smoke and chemical inhalation. My dad comes running and sees this, just absolute furnace. And I'm so stunned and scared, I'm still just kind of watching it and slowly dying. And he just grabs me and runs out of the room. But I think in terms of the stupidest things I've ever done, that's got to rank up there.
Yeah.
That's pretty dumb.
Even age aside. Did they put the fire out?
It definitely got put out. I don't know how. I don't think my Dixie cup of water is probably what solved that.
Well, I'll give him a 10 because that was super dumb.
Yeah, that was great. Okay, first, what are you better at than Sam?
Oh, man. We don't have enough time for this one.
You got to pick one.
Well, I think your answer was writing. I'm definitely a better writer.
That's very fair.
Yeah. I think just general judgment, aesthetics, general sensibilities and sort of navigating life, not being wrong about everything. Those things, I'd say.
Humility.
But what are you better at than Luke?
So the big thing this go around, Luke
I
knows
know
what I'm
you're
going to say
saying.
here. Luke falls in love with certain pat expressions. And when you're going through a buyer's guide that has something like 230 skis, and I don't even know how many total products we're at, but
A lot.
400
Too
plus. It'll be 1 in the morning or 2 in the morning, and I'm still editing some of the stuff we're working on. And this is the thing recently that's absolutely driving me insane about Luke, is he just kind of falls in love with these same expressions. And it's dumb. It's not about the technical information about the ski. He's very good about that. But saying that everything is worth a look or worth a good look or really stands out. And I'm like, I'm going to come murder you at 2 in the morning if I read this one more time.
So to provide, I don't think you're wrong, but to provide a little context, we do have several hundred products in the guide.
Yeah.
And I am at least putting some input into almost every blurb we're writing or doing right now, whether it's editing other review stuff or writing it myself.
Yeah.
And I think at most I've included the same phrase twice in a single section. I think it happened. I think the first time it happened, it was 2 or 3 times. And then now if you see any of those phrases once in a section, you freak out. And I think it's amplified by the fact that you're usually reading these at like midnight and you have a hair trigger on anything.
Yeah,
So,
there's no question.
anyways.
Of like, this right now is the thing in my life that makes me wild angry.
Yeah.
Which is, in the scheme of things, I think shows like overall life's going pretty good.
Yeah.
You know, if that's like your thing. But
I don't disagree with you. I just want to give people a little bit of a background.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't really know about that
I
one.
don't care. Just
give it
type a number.
6. All right. All right. Quick, rapid fire.
Okay.
Skis, boots, bindings, apparel, running shoes, and veggie burgers. What are you pickiest about, and what are you least picky about?
Probably pickiest about skis. Yeah.
More than boots.
Yeah.
Your foot freaking fits in every
You have
boot.
the golden.
I have
foot.
golden. I have golden feet. Like if it's a size 26.5 low volume boot, chances are I'll get along with it okay.
It's not fair.
And I've skied 120s, 130s, 140s all pretty happily. So while I maybe have my preferences on those for sure, I find that I can get along at least with a decent number of boots. Skis is where I will be probably quickest to be like, this is stupid. Or
Yeah.
but veggie burgers, I'm kind of just in on the genre mostly.
Yeah.
There's some really dumb ones, I think, like, but
Too
and I
much
guess we
rocker,
should
they're not heavy enough.
Taper.
when you start getting, and I guess we should say, like, so I am a vegetarian, and I guess maybe this is a fun fact, like, I don't cook like at all.
Yeah.
And so I'm either on a raw diet or a microwave, like you can do it in a microwave. That's literally
You're like on both ends of the spectrum.
Yeah.
Like I only eat
So
raw food.
like, what percentage of your calories come from veggie burgers?
I have definitely one a day, every day.
And the rest is protein shakes.
And then 1 or 2 protein shakes every day. And sometimes, like if I'm doing a lot more lifting than I am like right now, sometimes would go to 2 to 3 a day. That I really developed in grad school, year 1 of grad school, when it was just like, man, there's no time for anything.
Yeah.
I would cook at the start of the week like a 10-pound thing of spaghetti and literally just graze on that down, you know. But now I don't even, like, that was cooking, but now I don't even do that. So,
Okay.
yeah. But then like raw broccoli and cauliflower and hummus and protein shakes and veggie burgers with sourdough bread. I've literally just explained most of my diet.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wait, we have to give him a score for that.
Oh yeah.
Uniqueness. That's kind of
picky about skis, not picky about veggie burgers.
See, I think being picky about skis is dumb, personally.
He's probably
I
just
can
a
tell.
bad skier. Yeah, sounds like you're just bad at skiing.
That's probably true. Yeah, I give him a 6.
All right, I'm fine with that.
man.
So this question would have been applicable on literally any other day of the year, except you're actually wearing shoes today. But why do you always wear flip-flops?
I do love flip-flops. I know. I thought I should class it up for my interview, so I'm like wearing,
Shoes.
If you didn't show, the cameras aren't on your feet. Do you want me to switch it up? We can.
No, it's okay. No, well, actually, to be honest, I'm rocking these lovely Arbor shoes, and am supposed to be reviewing them. And but I do love flip-flops. Flip-flops are, I think, objectively my favorite piece of gear on earth. Yeah.
But why?
I mean, easy on off. That's another time saver. Who's got time for laces, Sam? And
You
then
don't
after
tie 'em.
skiing, to just get out of those low volume boots and right into flip flops. And Rob Dickinson, right? Crested Butte famous Rob Dickinson. He was always like, dude, you're gonna fit in great around here, like doing your like Colorado flip flop thing. And I'm just like, this is like good therapy. You've been in these tight ski boots, and now you just go around in the cold, and it's basically kind of like you're icing your feet. Yeah, kind of.
Stretch.
So
Yeah,
to me, flip flops are conducive for all weather.
Okay. I would give you a good score, but making people smell your feet after they've been in ski boots all day is kind of cruel.
Yep, I'm with Luke. I give you a 2.
You've smelled my feet?
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
After we get done after like a full day of like pow skiing where we're getting kind of sweaty.
You've never mentioned this before.
No.
You saved it for
Socks?
this.
Because I get out of here as quick as I can. All right.
So Luke went in and added some questions after I did this, and some of these are kind of mean.
Oh, no.
But we're gonna ask this one anyway.
Right. 3.
Why don't you have any hair?
I don't know.
You got to ask me why my hair is long, so.
Yeah, that's genetics, right?
Okay. I wasn't sure if you just
Or is it
shaved
the
it
lack
for
of
a long
sleep?
Well,
time.
that's okay. Well, I started shaving my head like I think sometime in college, and I was just like, why am I taking the time and spending money?
I figured that was exactly why you did it.
Yeah, and so I started shaving my head early on, and
Okay.
yeah.
And then just went from there.
And then I'm just like, why on earth would anybody, literally I can't fathom. It's not even the money part, though. That seems silly. But like the one good thing about being a dude is like you can just shave your head and it's like no one cares and it's fine. And it takes like 2 minutes. Another fun fact, I don't shave. I've been shaving with like clippers for at least a decade, probably almost 2 decades. Because
Your
that
head
takes
too?
Huh?
Your head?
Yeah, it's the same head.
Huh.
And then like this takes 2 minutes. Razor burn is the worst. I'm not using and like this is like once or twice a week for 2 minutes. So there's a lot of like kind of terrifying efficiencies built into my life that when you make me say them all out loud in one conversation.
Yeah. It starts to sound a little
Seems
odd.
like Steve Jobs wore the same turtleneck every day as an
He did.
efficiency, but he also created the iPhone. What do you have to?
Yeah, I
a
have
show
not.
for it.
Yeah, I've not yet. I just put up with you.
Yeah.
Okay, actually,
So
yeah.
flip flops are like my black turtleneck. I could argue.
Okay.
Yeah,
I would give him a 7 for that.
sick.
Yeah, I think that's fair. That's
Yeah.
fair. So, we've already got a few examples of this, but you seem to almost die like all the time.
Yeah,
How many times have you almost died?
don't even know. Yeah, that many. Over under. I mean, let's put it at 9 or 10.
Jeez.
That's a lot. You should dial back.
Should try not dying more.
Try to not die more. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, that's an impressive number.
I'll give him a. Wait, how many was it? 9 or 10?
Yeah, like I don't know,
All right,
Give
but
it
like
9.5 then.
Okay,
Split
yeah,
the difference.
9.5.
Yeah. So, what's the average number of hours of sleep that you get a night?
And have you always hated yourself, or did you used to sleep more?
no, I love sleep. This is the thing. Like sacrifices are being made.
Yep.
Right. I like sleep. I probably have never truly had a time when I would like. I've never been the like 9 hour, 10 hour type of person, but no, I would. I'd put me in the 6 to 7 to 8 hour kind of traditionally.
Okay. This time of year a bit less.
Well, first 2 years of Blister was 4 hours a night,
Yeah.
regimented 4 hours a night, and then, but like I'm not into that. Like I don't like the walking around zombied out. I think sleep is. I mean, I'm interested in longevity and like being healthy for a long time, and sleep is obviously a critical component of that. So I don't think that's cool, and I don't think that's like the mark that like you're really getting after it. I think it's stupid if you don't sleep enough, and yet like we're doing a lot, and and right now I'm kind of willing to like, but I'm in general I'd say that. When we're not wrapping up a buyer's guide and when Claudio's not in town and in that kind of thing. Like I 6, 7, sometimes 8.
Okay. Give you a 7.
Seems kind of arbitrary, but
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
this
my-
whole thing is arbitrary.
No.
so let's talk a little bit about ski preferences. What do you like most when it comes to a ski?
The quality that I like most is good suspension in a ski. And I think we actually started using that term when it came to skis. And I don't know if we've popularized that, but I don't recall ever really hearing that sort of language about a ski. But basically the same thing that, like, when you're on a mountain bike that has good suspension, or in a car with good suspension, that good feeling when you're dealing with steeper, techier, weird terrain, the ski just feels kind of nice and somewhat plush. I probably err on the side of plush. Skis that you would tend to call dead, I get along with, Sam.
Those skis are dead.
Yeah. Sam likes dumb skis. But yeah, so I like that. I do tend to like a bit stiffer skis, but I would take a ski with good suspension over some super stiff. I hate stiff skis with bad suspension. And it turns out there's a lot of them out there. And for the love of God, I can't understand why people keep making them.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I like heavier skis. I'd rather provide more input than have some super light thing that will do the work for me. So I like weight, I like good suspension, and like we always talk about, the heavier and stiffer, the heavier the ski is, the more I think you can add stiffness into it, and you don't mess up the suspension of that thing. And so, yeah.
What do you care about least in a ski? Fun.
Fun.
No, I think that's accurate. Yeah.
Fun. I was wondering if the answer was graphics, but some graphics, I mean, when we have to sit there looking at these skis, we're like, that's just so stupid and lame. Like, why would someone do that to, like, an otherwise good, especially when it's on a good ski?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, well, so the obvious answer is when companies start touting the weight savings technology that they threw into their dumb ski, like, I don't give a shit about that, and I think they probably just messed the ski up more than made it better. But so yeah, you don't have me. You don't get my heart with all the talk of lightweight savings.
That was a predictable but good answer.
I mean, I would say predictable and otherwise fine. Give it a 5.
Oh, you're going to have 5? I was going to go 8.
8?
Let's go 6.5.
How is he doing so far?
I
have no idea.
You have 90 points, which is a total of about 98.5 now. That's almost a 50%. For the record, Luke got 169.5 points.
Out of 100.
All right.
There's approximately 200 points available.
Okay. Who would you most like to interview on the podcast that you have not already?
Is this like moonshot interview, or like
Anything.
probably can make it happen?
Any person.
But they have to be alive.
Okay. Interesting.
Yes, definitely alive.
I would actually love to interview Obama, and I would basically just want to talk about Chicago basketball. And yeah, that's what the entire conversation would be about. And I'd want to ask him about, like, who he's reading these days. That would be a really fun one, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that.
That's a good answer. Yeah.
Second, let me give a second. And this is a
And
bonus.
the points go down.
There's gonna be a 10.
If we go to more of the, if we go to more of the, like, kind of outdoor sports world, couple on the radar, Seth Morrison, who is not far away from here.
No.
And so we'll see. We'll see. But Seth, I think I would be more, like, nervous talking to Seth than Obama, like, without question.
Yeah.
So anyway, but and then I would like to interview Michaela Schifrin.
Mm-hmm.
I think she's obviously doing remarkable things on a lot of different fronts. So I'll give you those 3. You only asked for 1. I gave you 3. That's at least a 10.
No, that's minus
Disobeyed
3
a
points.
command.
That's a 7.
Yeah.
Yep.
Quickly, who would you most like to interview again who's already been on the podcast? Like maybe something new happened, or you just want to catch up.
Mm-hmm.
Or you just wish you were better friends with this person. And maybe they're
Or
listening
you
right
really
now.
screwed up the interview the first time.
Well, speaking of,
Oh, I know what you're gonna say.
I mean, there is a lost episode.
This is a cop-out answer. I'm going to give you 0 points.
There's a lost episode. Tom Wallish and I had a phenomenal conversation a couple years ago, and like really amazing. And we need to come back around on that. We had technical difficulties, and yeah, so that would be interesting. It's always good to talk to Eric Jorlifson.
Mm-hmm.
We'll I'm sure we'll have reason to circle back.
We need to get Dan Abrams on again too.
Dan's always a good time. Always a good time. Good to talk to him. But yeah.
Cool.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember. I think you like called me when you called me after the Tom Walsh podcast. You're like, that was amazing. It was
Yep.
like one of the best ones we've ever
Yep.
done. And then I get a call like either a few hours or like a couple days later, like my life is ruined. Like
Yeah.
we cannot get the audio to work.
No, this is like, I shouldn't say this really out loud, but I was like, I might just kill myself right now. Like it was, and I'm glad, I told you, like it was a great conversation, and I could not believe that it was gone. And I, writing that note to Tom to tell him was it was awful. And he was super cool. And he's like, dude, believe me, this guy knows. He's been around AV equipment forever. And so he's like, dude, I get it. It happens to the best of us. And like, we'll reschedule. And then we just haven't come back around. But that one is long overdue.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Okay, I'll give that a 9.
Yeah.
So
Because it's
sad.
Tom
I feel
Wallish.
yeah.
Yeah.
For him
Yeah.
Too. And also, I love Tom. So
Yeah. All right, you need to do these. We might let you explain,
'Kay.
but right now just list them off.
'Kay.
Top 3 favorite books.
Number 1 has to be Thoreau's Walden. Number 2, Seneca's Moral Epistles.
My
called.
favorite.
You should go get the Loeb edition of these.
Okay.
You get the English
Not the other
text
one.
and the Latin text, and both. So, and then, honestly, well, Pierre Hadot's Philosophy as a Way of Life. That was a transformative book. We won't go into the long story. I'll give you those 3. Bonus, Krakauer's Into the Wild was a stunning book. I read it because I was teaching a course on Thoreau, a college course on Thoreau. I didn't know who John Krakauer was. I didn't know about that book. And he talks a little bit about Thoreau in Into the Wild. And so everyone was like, you have to read this book. You haven't read it? And I was like, I don't know. Who's this pop psychologist wannabe? So I was in a way dismissive mood coming into it. And when I sat down, that book was like, it took my breath away. Unbelievable. It's one of the only books I've ever like literally read the last page and just went to page 1 and just started. I can't believe that book.
it's exactly what I did with Pusha T's album Daytona.
A great album. A great album. Yeah, so I give you a 10 for that.
I'll give you a 10 for the Krakauer
Okay.
answer too, because
All right.
that is a phenomenal book.
Yeah.
On the topic of music, top 3 bands or artists.
So I have a pantheon. Bob Dylan is the ruler of my pantheon.
Okay.
To switch metaphors, Bob Dylan is Shakespeare.
Okay.
Everyone who has come after is indebted.
Now, can you do the metaphor or an analogy in the form of race cars, like ski magazines would?
No, no, I cannot. So I go in my pantheon. Dylan 1, Tom Waits 2, Johnny Cash 3. Actually, we'll go Cash 2, Waits 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm pretty happy with that.
I give him an 8 just because of Tom Waits.
There has to be a whole like hip hop like would be different.
Yeah.
But we'll keep it moving.
All right, top 3 favorite movies.
Number 1 has to be Pulp Fiction. number 2, if the question was what is the greatest movie ever made, probably go with Akira Kurosawa's Ran.
I still haven't seen that.
So Pulp Fiction, Ran, and then I could go with a rotating group of Wes Anderson movies. Usually, I'd say right now today the answer is probably Royal Tenenbaums. So.
Okay.
Akira Kurosawa's Ran. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen it. It sounds
Epic.
intelligent.
7. 7.
Seven's good.
All right.
7's good.
All right. What's the best question we have not asked you? This is the question that you force all of your guests to answer, and it's really hard.
It is really hard. Probably the best question, because I don't really know what the answer is like, if I had to stop doing Blister tomorrow, what would I do?
Go crazy?
I don't think so. No. Okay, so that is the best question you haven't asked me. And it's funny, like I think that easily the thing I would want to do is, it's not really like career related or anything, but I would actually love to get back to have more time in my life for sustained reading and writing. That I think has actually been one of the big sacrifices of the last 9 years or so. Is it's the thing I think I maybe like least about Blister right now is I feel like I am never allowed to focus on one thing. It is typically like 6 things right now, and I don't like that. And part of this is we're bringing more people on and the rest, but that's the thing I think I miss about some of my past life, where it was like, yeah, this evening or on a weekend, I've got the day to read and write and be kind of in that and sit in that for a while. I would love to do that. And then I'd have to figure out some of the other career stuff.
I think that's a good answer.
That's a 10, yeah. Just because you need it.
Yep.
Yeah, go on vacation.
Luke, can we get a drum roll, please, for the reveal of Jonathan's final score? So we've done this twice. This is really good. No,
Leather doesn't work well for a drum roll.
No, it sounds really good. Keep going.
Keep going? All right.
Luke got an 84% and 169.5 points.
That's not true. You didn't get an 84.
I just calculated it. It's a little bit fudged. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, you're lying. You got a C+.
I don't remember.
Better than average, 100%.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you were
average.
slightly better than average.
Sick.
You got 147.5 points.
Yeah.
And that's a 73%.
That's 1% below Luke.
But mostly it's more than 20 points below Luke.
Your math is 100%
This
wrong.
is Excel spreadsheet. It's not wrong.
It's doing the math for us.
It does the math for you. Yeah.
Though we may have skipped a question or two.
What did you skip?
I don't know.
Yeah, we definitely skipped some, but they weren't very good questions.
Yeah, anyways, that's not important. All that matters is I'm the winner so far. And we'll see if Sam can beat me next week.
Like, there's almost no chance of that.
Probably true.
All right. Well, that was fun.
Yeah.
And now we get to get back to work.
And we will get back to work. All
Let's
right.
do it.
Well, it was a pleasure being grilled by the likes of you two.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Until next time.
Till next
Alrighty.
time. All right, guys.
See ya.
Cool.